On December 7, 1971, police officers in Westfield, New Jersey forced their way into a darkened 19-room mansion and followed the sound of organ music drifting through an empty house. Room after room was lit but vacant. Then they pushed open the ballroom doors. 5 bodies arranged on sleeping bags had been decomposing for nearly 4 weeks. The victims were a mother, her 3 teenage children, and an elderly woman found stuffed in a third-floor closet. The killer was already gone. His name was John Emil List, and he would not be found for almost 18 years. John List was born in Bay City, Michigan in 1925, the only child of devout Lutheran parents. He served in the U.S. Army during World War II, earned a master's degree in accounting from the University of Michigan, and built a career that eventually landed him as vice president and comptroller at a bank in Jersey City, New Jersey. In 1965, he moved his wife Helen, their 3 children, and his elderly mother Alma into Breeze Knoll, a 19-room Victorian mansion at 431 Hillside Avenue in Westfield. From the outside, the List looked like the definition of American success. John taught Sunday school. The family attended church every week. He mowed the lawn in a suit and tie. Behind that image, everything was falling apart. By 1971, List had lost his banking job and could not find work that matched his qualifications. Rather than tell his family, he continued leaving the house each morning as if nothing had changed, spending his days at the train station. He had been secretly draining his elderly mother's bank accounts to cover the mortgage. Helen's health was deteriorating severely. The utilities were months behind. The debt was compounding with no end in sight. On the morning of November 9, 1971, while his children were at school, John List shot his wife Helen in the kitchen. He then went up to the 3rd-floor attic apartment and shot his mother Alma, who was in bed above her left eye. Because she was too heavy to carry, he left her body in a closet covered with a carpet runner. He dragged Helen's body to the ballroom and placed it inside a sleeping bag. He mopped the kitchen floor. He drove to the bank and closed both his and his mother's accounts. He mailed letters to the children's schools, saying the family was visiting a sick relative out of state. Then he came home and waited. When his daughter Patricia, 16, called home sick that afternoon, he picked her up and shot her as she walked through the door. When his 13-year-old son Frederick arrived home, List shot him as well. He drove to his 15-year-old son John Jr.'s soccer game, watched it, and drove him home. John Jr. saw the gun. According to forensic evidence presented at trial, he fought back. List shot him at least 10 times before placing his body with the others in the ballroom. Before leaving the house the next morning, List sat at his desk and typed a 5-page letter to his pastor, Reverend Eugene Raywinkle, explaining what he had done. He wrote that financial ruin would have destroyed his family spiritually, and that he was certain they had all gone to heaven. He left the radios on, tuned to a Christian station. He left every light burning. He turned the thermostats down. Then he walked out. He traveled by train to Denver, Colorado, where he assumed the name Robert Peter Clark, found accounting work, joined a Lutheran congregation, and eventually married a woman named Dolores Miller in 1985. The couple later moved to Midlothian, Virginia. For 17.5 years, no one found him. In May 1989, the television program America's Most Wanted aired a segment on the List case. The show's producers worked with forensic sculptor Frank Bender and criminal psychologist Richard Walter, who predicted that List, due to his obsessive need to maintain appearances, would not have changed his look dramatically. Bender sculpted a clay bust with a receding hairline, heavy jowls, and thick horn-rimmed glasses. A former neighbor who had known Robert Clark in Virginia contacted authorities after seeing the broadcast. She said the bust was an exact likeness of her neighbor, down to the style of his eyeglass frames. On June 1, 1989, FBI agents arrested List at his accounting office in Richmond, Virginia. He insisted he was Robert Clark until his fingerprints were matched to his World War II military records. His 1990 trial in Union County lasted 7 days. The prosecution's psychiatrist testified that List understood exactly what he had done and had proven it through a month of meticulous planning. The jury convicted him on 5 counts of first-degree murder. The judge sentenced him to 5 consecutive life terms and described him as a man without remorse and without honor. John List died in prison on March 21, 2008, at the age of 82. The original Breeze Knoll mansion burned to the ground in August 1972, under circumstances that were never resolved. A new house stands at the same address today. Residents of Westfield still call it the List House.